my son, who's 15, he said to me, he said, "How long have you not had a drink for now?" And I said, 2 years. He said, "Oh, I'm really proud of you." And that was,
Yeah.
that was really powerful for me, because your children will do as you do. They won't do as you say.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Willpower podcast. I'm so happy that you're here today. I have a great guest. His name is Lee. How you doing today, Lee?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's a pleasure. Lee, you're in the UK. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background on you?
Yeah, so I'm based in the UK, in the Midlands. I'm now a coach for men, to help them overcome their vices. Obviously, fitness is my mechanism that I use. What I used personally to overcome my struggles, both mentally and physically. And now I found a purpose and a passion in helping people do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to addiction and alcohol. And the way that I would describe my relationship with alcohol is it was my worst best friend.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was my best friend, but I've recently, in the last, been coming up to 28 months in a couple of days sober, and you realise that quite how much it's holding me back in every single way, physically, mentally, relationships. So I'm just really passionate about sharing my story and sharing my approach to my addiction with it, and hoping that it helps someone either discover or find a better way, better coping mechanisms. Because I was using it in coping, but also self-sabotaging, what I thought, and always used to say, it's just recreational, or, just party. If I was using cocaine, which is pretty much, a lot of the time, if I was drinking, I would protect my friend by saying, "Oh, it's just recreational." But yes, it's something that I've come to realize that was all, all lies, and it's all, wrapping it up in different ways so that I can still continue doing it. And yeah, just super passionate about helping people be their best and overcome it. And that's what I'm about, empowering people. Father of three. And that was my biggest why and my reason to change my life and to change my habits, was to break the cycle and be the father that they need, and the father that everyone deserves.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. Can we back up a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about your past, your childhood?
Yeah, childhood. It was pretty rocky in the sense of growing up with just my mum, a single parent. Didn't really see my dad until I was 16. So I definitely lacked having that father figure in my life, and a positive sort of male role model. And I think that led to me finding my own devices and my own way. And when I think about it, I realized that I never really knew myself. I was really uncomfortable and anxious. Would wear a good mask to show that I wasn't, whether it was telling jokes or being overly loud and stuff like that. But I always felt kind of shy and awkward inside. And I think that in, different kind of ways, it was all what led me to how, I kind of got attached to drinking and drugs, which was kind of normal to me. I was surrounded by it, not daily, but it was normal in my life. It never at any point did I think this is bad. I thought it's just, it's what you do.
Just like what you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I was drinking from the age of 14 on the streets, started off on the streets drinking, to the point where when I was 16, at this point, I didn't realize that I had a bad relationship with it, in the sense of being able to handle it, and my thinking, and my behaviors when I had when I was under the influence. And it led to me being kicked out from home. At 16, I was homeless for a while, but yeah, and that kind of
Wow.
chaos with my life,
So you got kicked out when you were 16 years old from what, just drugs and alcohol and just being what?
Yeah, I was just doing crazy stuff. So I'd go out, drinking, doing drugs, come back early hours in the morning. And I remember one time like smashed the back door window to get in. Just real kind of not normal behavior, especially in your own house, to your own house. All I wanted to do was drink and do drugs. And I remember I sold my TV, DVD player at the time, showing my age a little bit, but and my console as well, my games console. I sold them all for a stupid price and spent it all on alcohol and drugs. And when I think about it now, because obviously stepped away from that life, I can see how crazy it was to do that. That was kind of definitely a sign. And I would, if I didn't have alcohol weekends, and I'm talking like from the age of 15 at the weekends to when I was an adult, if I didn't have the money, then I'd find the money, whether it's looking down the sofa or to try and find some money, or if need be, then I would go and steal it.
Yeah.
That was a regular thing for me. I'd go and just go and take it because I didn't have any other way to get it. And I guess I needed it.
Can you talk about when you were kicked out at 16? I mean, that's terrifying. I'm thinking about myself when I was 16, just to be kicked out of your home. Can you talk to me? Can you talk to me a little?
Yeah, I think I fully deserved it.
Yeah.
I think that in a way there was no other choice really, because I was given ultimatums of changing my behaviour. When I was kicked out, I stayed out for a good few years, sort of sofa surfing like between friends and even sleeping rough and stuff like that. And I think in a way that kind of formed my old character. And that was a character of like needing and relying on other people.
Yeah.
Because I had to really. I didn't have any life skills to be able to sort myself out. And in the end, gradually from that scenario, I was able to start to live a normal life, should we say, getting a job and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, when I was in my mid-20s, my life completely destroyed my life again through alcohol and lost everything, job, car, driving license, everything. But still, after doing that, still continued to drink. And that to me is the definition of insanity, that, I knew that one thing had took everything away from me. And there was times I was on my own in a bedsit in a flat, literally crying, tried to commit suicide on a couple of occasions, and that was because I was really at rock bottom. I was at complete rock bottom at that time.
So you were in your mid-20s when this was going on? Because you said you got kicked out at 16. Things were getting progressively worse, and then you said you were even homeless for a little bit. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was living homeless, and it didn't really bother me because all I wanted to do was, just to drink or get high. So I just didn't really see it as a big deal. I saw it as, well, I'm free to do what I want, as a really immature mind.
Yeah.
I went stayed at different friends on their sofas and stuff, and then I actually moved in with a friend kind of longer term, until I did something stupid and messed that up, and then got kicked out of there, which again was on the back of a drinking session. So yeah, it's almost like cycles of just recreating cycles of chaos.
Yeah.
And I realize now that like that became my predictability of that's predictable for me. So I continued to do it. I knew it was coming. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Yes, it does make sense. Life has an interesting way of showing it. Unless we learn from our mistakes, we'll just continue to do the same things over and over. Because, and you're right, we get used to it, right? We get used to
Yeah,
feeling that way. We're no longer trying to get better. We're almost like self-sabotaging every
exactly.
part of ourselves, and then it becomes our identity.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were couch surfing pretty much for how many years?
Not too long. I think it was probably a couple of years, and there or thereabouts. And then I then got into a relationship, and was in a relationship with my eldest son's mum for 7 years or something like that. And it was more normal life. Was still drinking, doing drugs and stuff, and was probably the cause of the breakup as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask what.
Yeah, I just wasn't ready to grow up. I still wanted to, I still wanted to be, even though I had a child, sort of 1.5 year old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to grow up, and it just kind of went like that.
Yeah. Was your partner at the time, were they noticing that alcohol was becoming an issue, or did they have issues themselves, or was it just you?
No, I think it was more. I mean, at the time as well, as I smoked a lot, I smoked a lot of cannabis, and that became more of my thing as well. So I
Yeah.
started to use that, and that became part a new identity that I formed, and that I believed that I wanted to be, which is all about fitting in. Really, it's all about kind of fitting in and trying to find something. I think it didn't really have an impact on the relationship as such. That just was what it was. But after that, after coming away from that, was when it was kind of really carnage for me, in the sense of, like I touched on, with being rock bottom through making bad decisions when I was drinking, and that led me to the point of being rock bottom. But as you know, best place to build from is rock bottom sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes life has an interesting way of showing you your rock bottom. Sometimes I love talking to people about their rock bottoms because it looks different. Sometimes they're not even that bad of a bottom, right? You compare it, but that's the thing we were talking about off air, right? Is comparing ourselves to others. It does no one good, because everyone's life is so different, in their situations, and circumstances are so different. So your relationship started to falter, and you weren't ready to grow up, as I think that's what you said, right? What would you think that you were trying to escape from? Like, what was your reason?
It was probably, yeah, it's a good question. I think when if I was trying to put myself back, like you do when you kind of go through recovery and sobriety, and you think back to situations and you think, maybe I shouldn't have acted in that way. I should have done things differently. And I think it just comes down to being selfish, really. Like, I wanted everything my way. It had to be my way. And if it wasn't my way, then whoever could I could easily feel like I could cut people off, even if it meant a huge change or moving, starting again, all of that stuff. It didn't matter, because the chaos was, I suppose it's because I'm used to chaos from life from a child, like being, one of my earliest kind of memories is like running away with my mum. And that was kind of something that, maybe running away, that I took on. So my first instinct to any kind of problem was to run away, and to, certainly not to own it, and to try and make a positive change. It was just, well, this has to be someone else's fault. I'm gone.
Right. Yeah. So your rock bottom, what would your rock bottom be? Like, what would you say? Because I know you said you were a father, you said you were a son, so a lot of different things. So what was like the rock bottom for you?
Yeah, I think the rock bottom was being in a place that I'd never felt before. I felt really isolated, both in the terms of where I was living. I was living somewhere I couldn't bring my son, who was around two at the time. I used to see him, every other weekend. And obviously there was conflict as well between me and his mother as well. So there was a lot going on around that at the time. And the only way that I could kind of deal with it and act like I wasn't bothered was drinking and doing drugs and partying and stuff. But what goes up must come down. And, when it come down and I was there alone, I guess the biggest thing would be like, no future, no clear future. I couldn't see at that point, I couldn't see where am I going to go from here?
Yeah.
What am I going to do from here? I got no job, no real qualifications or anything like that. I left school without any kind of education, really, no further education. Yeah, I just felt like a loser, to be honest. Just like what's the point?
Yeah. And that negative self-talk, isn't it just brutal? I mean, that happened to me too. Like I was so sick and tired of being me, and I was so sick and tired of the world, and I was pessimistic. And, it was so many things that put me in a place of complete loss of my identity, who I was. And I just had no excitement about life anymore. And I just felt that alcohol was the only way to make me feel relief, at least temporarily, until I figured something out. But I didn't even want to figure anything out. And towards the end, I was like, I just don't want to be alive anymore. So I can relate to you on the suicidal thoughts in some way. Would you mind touching upon a little bit of that? I said you said,
yeah. I remember I was in my flat at the time. It was horrible. It was really horrible. No furniture because I didn't have anything. It was like don't know how, like a council flat. I'm not sure what that term would be, like for an American place.
Like a one bedroom kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or like a studio, I think that's what we call them here, studios. When there's the bedroom and the kitchen, everything's like all in one room kind of thing. Yeah,
it was horrible. I guess I was carrying so much shame as well at the time because of what had happened when I lost my driving license. And
when did you lose your drive? What happened?
Well, I just after going out, been out all day, and whatever reason, decided to drive and crashed the car. Thankfully, no one else was involved. I don't know how I survived because I was driving at speed as well. But this is what I was saying about my thought process when I was drinking. And it was definitely affected. My pathways of thought were all mixed up. And it was it sounds really strange, but it was definitely a turning point as well.
I would think that getting in a really bad accident like that would wake some people up.
Yeah. It was a moment of, I had to suffer a lot after that.
Yeah.
And take my punishment and stuff. And then that's where, like I was saying, with trying to take my own life, I was so close. And it's not the first time either. Like I tried in the past when I was younger, whether it was just cries for help or whether it was actually intentional, I don't know. I know that my thought process wasn't right. I think the best way to describe it, even at that point, was that I just never really knew myself.
Yeah.
Never ever felt comfortable, and I was always kind of, I don't know, it's hard to kind of to explain. Never happy. Just like you said, pessimistic. Always the world's against me. Why does this always happen to me? Why me? But it's obvious because of my habits, my daily habits, and the way I was living my life was as a reflection of that.
Yeah, it's so hard to get out of those negative self-talk spin zones that we put ourselves into, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I was in the same boat. I could not break the cycle of just negativity and pessimism and all those attributes that one would be associated with someone who's unhealthy. That's how I was. And I expected just the more of the same, because that's how I was continuing to live my life, was just more of the same, and expecting like a beautiful miracle out of nowhere to come. Little did I know that miracle would be pain and suffering, and 2 organ transplants later, and God, so many complications, and oh God, I can go on and on. But yeah, that negative self-talk is something that is really serious, and something that it's really hard to ask for help about too. You know, when you're going through those downward spirals, it's almost like you can't find your way out of that hole that you're in. And seeking help and support is like the most crucial component of it. When did you finally realize that you needed help or ask for help? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When did you finally admit that, okay, I need to be vulnerable, I need to be open and ask for help now?
To be honest, at that point, when I was 27, that's when I started going to the gym, and for me, that was the self-help.
Yes.
I started going again. I ran away. I left. I moved away to a different town on my own completely to get away from my habits and the environment, because I knew that it was inevitable. I wouldn't be able to break that kind of cycle. So I made that decision to pack up and to leave on my own. And then I guess really from there, I was still, like, things were improving. My life was on the up, in the sense of, I got a job, and I then got another job, a better job, started to build my life slowly. I then met my now wife as well. I was still drinking at this time. I was still continuing to drink, binge drinking it for weekends, because I didn't have a problem. I just did silly stuff when I drank. That's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
But I could see and I could vision. Don't ask me how, because I don't know, but I could see and I could vision the same cycle happening again. And would be inevitable that it would happen again, and I would, start all over again. And at some point that seemed appealing to me, which is crazy to think, because I was in the happiest place I'd been.
And you just weren't willing to cut the alcohol yet?
No, I wasn't, because to me, I didn't have a problem. I started training and going to the gym. I was building myself physically, actually build myself mentally in the disciplines, but I still kept drinking. Still at the weekends, I'll still be drinking. And I would drink to the point of falling asleep in the shower, singing, and I still never had, even when I was in a good place in my life, I still never had a hold of it. For example, if I was drinking, I had to be drinking until there was nothing left to drink. Even if it was 2 or 3 year old port from Christmas on top of the cabinet, I still needed to continue to drink until early hours. And then obviously, naturally, the next day you're suffering with an ungrateful hangover and losing a day. I guess that become a cycle of, it was like fitness, but then I would still be self-sabotaging with the drink and cocaine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it almost sounds like the first sign of self-love that you gave yourself was, even before you gave up drinking, was the physical fitness component. It's crazy to me that people don't exercise, especially when they're in a funk like that. It's remarkable how just getting a quick workout in when you're feeling those emotions of like, I'm worthless, I have nothing to show for myself. At least if you care about something as simple as like treating your body well and like exercising, and all of a sudden you get those endorphins and you start getting those chemicals that are released in your brain that make you feel just more at peace with who you are. Because on the outside perspective, people looking at you, they're like, okay, well, look at this guy, he's taking care of himself, right? He's working out, he's making an effort to better himself. But isn't that funny though, how even when we show that those signs of self-love, or that sign of self-love that you just mentioned about the gym, but the alcohol still had a huge part of who you were, your identity, right? So when did you finally break free from that stranglehold?
Yeah, so that would be August 2022. So yeah, coming up to 28 months.
Wow, congratulations. That's great.
Thanks. It was on the back of a holiday, went on holiday. And they've been done dry January a couple of times, probably lasted about 10 days, if that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the hardest? I'm sorry to interrupt. What do you think the hardest? Why do you think it only would go those 10 days?
I thought life was boring. I thought life was boring. I was like,
ugh.
I remember saying, like, what's the point if you can't drink? And what else is there to do? Everything to me, everything was attached to alcohol.
Yes.
and alcohol was attached to everything. You know, I'm a big soccer fan, but when I was thinking about, right, I want to go watch Liverpool play, it's quite far from where I am. And I was thinking, well, I have to get a train because I have to drink, or I've got to stay over. And it get to the point where I go, well, I just won't go because it's too much to do it. And that was the biggest thing for me, is everything, whether it was people, places, events, it was all attached to alcohol, and I couldn't see anything past that. I couldn't see anything past that. So when I was on holiday, in 2022, I was drinking like all day long, you know, at the poolside, and get to the evening, and my wife said, "Oh, my daughter was tired. We need to take her back." I didn't want to. I wanted to stay out. I wanted to carry on drinking, which is always a continuing factor as well with me, that like I didn't know when enough was enough. I couldn't accept or put other people's needs before mine in that sense. I think in the end, I went back, woke up the next day, and after discussions as well, it was like, yeah, what's wrong with me kind of thing. Why can't I just do a
That was the
normal thing?
first time. Yeah, that was the first time you came to that actualization. Like, what is wrong with me? I can't be a normal drinker. I mean, I honestly don't know how people do it. They can just turn it off and on. I mean, I'm just not wired that way. I just wasn't born
Yeah.
that way. I just turn it off. So yeah, when you came to that actualization, and that was the decision. Like, that was when everything shifted for you.
Yeah, that was it. And then came back home, and that's it. I've not drank since. And also, I think the biggest thing for me is realizing and building the evidence that I've built in the last 2 and a bit years of what I've achieved, the relationships I've repaired, the mental clarity that I've got, people that I've helped, the impact that I've made, like, all shows me how much, the alcohol was holding me back. Yeah. So I am an addict. I know I'm an addict. Now I'm addicted to personal development, the gym, I think what goes with recovery as well, with helping people and trying to either share your story, or also actually trying to help people, which I have done quite a few people before I became, certified.
Because you're a recovery coach now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm now a personal trainer. I have a online coaching business that is obviously very focused on sobriety, because it's the mechanism that I used. So it's the systems that I built and put in place for me to be able to get through my early days, should we say, but also to build them daily habits, the accountability, the routines, because that's what it is. Like, my routine before was self-sabotage. But the whole cue routine and reward thing was that routine part was sabotaging, and then I don't know where the reward came in, but mentally you think it's a reward. But now, I had to really go into a place of 6 months of just head underground, getting up at 3:30 a.m. and really building that evidence to show myself that I am a disciplined person, and to be able to do it for long enough that now it's not normal if I don't do it.
Yeah, it feels strange when you're not showing up for yourself now.
Yeah, like rest
Yeah.
days are hell days.
Well, I feel like when you're similar, because I'm similar to you in the sense that the self-loathing thing, and you spent so much of your life not evolving, not getting better, not working on yourself, that it's strange that when you do, and you fix your life, you fix all the things that were detrimental to your health. But when you were using and drinking and using, I think it was cocaine, right? Was it a big one? And that's like just a natural endorphin release right there. I mean, not natural, that's all chemicals, but yeah, it feels weird to not show up for yourself on the tough days. I'm with you on that one. So talk to me a little bit about what you do now. So you became this completely different person. I mean, that doesn't just happen overnight. I think you said something like 6 months of just feeling really uncomfortable. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the first stage was I hired a coach myself, which is just just like the physical side of things. And then it became, because obviously anything I do, I'm like, if I listen to a song and I like it, I have to listen to it 100 times.
Yeah, me too.
I had to keep going with it, and to the point of, I'd done so many different personal development courses and had coaches and stuff. Some successful, some not. I'm a Robert Greene fan. Read Mastery, and
Oh
I love
yeah,
his
12 rules of
work.
the power.
Yeah, and all of them kind of books. And before that, I'd never read a book in my life. Maybe like one autobiography, like genuinely. So what I found was a real interest and purpose to learn. Academically, I've always said to myself, oh, I'm not very good academically. What it showed me is that I just never found my purpose, something that I was so passionate about, that I would put myself in such an uncomfortable place to make it work and to learn. Arnold Schwarzenegger always says, just be more useful. It's like, how can I be more useful in my short time here? Whether that's, being the best father that I can be, the
The
best husband
sun.
I can be. Yeah. Or the best coach I can be.
So you're married now.
Yes.
Yes. And
I
you have
am.
and you have 3 children, you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine what they must think about your transition to this person today.
My son, who's 15, he said to me, so he goes to the gym. It's always been quite a difficult relationship with me and him because obviously, I wasn't with his
Yeah, I
mum,
bet.
and there's a lot of distance as well from where he lives and where I live. But I got him into the gym, and he goes to the gym regularly now, and he's finding a love for it, and he's obviously making me super proud of the fact that he's doing that, and he's starting so early. He's setting himself up for a good pathway. And he said to me when we went to the gym together a couple of months ago, he said, how long have you not had a drink for now? And I said, 2 years. I think it was around 2 years at the time. He said, oh, I'm really proud of you. And that was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really powerful for me, because your children will do as you do. They won't do as you say.
Yeah, that's true.
They're always, see how you react to things, see how you deal with situations, see what food you're eating, whether you're exercising, is all learned behaviors that, children pick up and
Yeah.
will set their life, and it's our duty and obligation to be the best role model that we can be. That's how I see my role now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you're right? They're little sponges. They're just constantly picking up on like the subtleties of life and who you are. And yeah, you can tell them all these wonderful things, but if you're not embracing it and you're not showcasing it with your actions rather than your words, they're not going to buy into it. So
Exactly.
that's really cool that your son is going to the gym with you, and it's awesome.
Yeah, so it is awesome. And obviously, because he started so young as well, he'll be 16 next July. He's obviously, he's going to make so much progress. By the time he's sort of early 20s, he'll be an absolute beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, he's got me to coach him as well. So he's
Good
he's
dad.
doing
That's
things.
funny.
Yeah, he's doing things in the right way with the right kind of systems and eating right. So, which is so important. So important. Otherwise, you're just spinning the wheels.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit. What about so the people that you were hanging out with, like, because that's something you always hear about. And when someone's struggling with some kind of substance or another, you almost have to change your environment, change the people you associate with. Did you have to do that? And can you talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. It just become, I would say, like, there's only one person really remaining in my circle. But that's just, that's how it is. If an environment is toxic, or, has things that are going to pull you back in or to a place where you don't want to be, then you have to, you have to keep moving forward. And I honestly believe that the biggest change for me is like my environment, and having something that I don't ever want to lose, having that why and having that reason to maintain what I'm doing, and to get better. I think rather than why people that I left behind, or people that, what I would like to talk about more is about people that I've gained into my life. I only really entertain anyone in my life if they're positive, if they're positive, and they're wanting to grow themselves, and they're trying to better themselves, because they're going to help develop me as well. Because, you want to be, not in competition, but, you want to be around people that are winning, and you want to be around people that love themselves, and people that are positive, and people that are spreading positivity. And that's one thing that, I found, especially with social media, is like how quickly you can find your people. But I think people, it's like they have a place and a phase in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got the same people in your life throughout your whole life, then you're probably not growing, and you're probably not moving through phases.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's certainly an area for me that's your surroundings is so important.
Yeah. I read a really cool quote by Tim Ferriss one time, and he had this one quote in one of them, but it was something along the lines of, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. So don't underestimate the unorganized or dysfunctional people in your life, because you are like in a encapsulation of all 5 of those people, and you're the average of that. So like that's so important, to find your tribe, your community of like-minded people who are consistently showing up for themselves and bettering themselves on a daily basis. Because those people that, like when I think about the people I used to hang out in my past, I think against them, everyone's on their own path, their own journey, and I hope them nothing but happiness and health and peace and success in their lives. But yeah, I noticed that when I was in that phase of my life of just constantly self-sabotaging, there is that phrase, there is comfort in misery, is completely true.
I completely agree. And like you just said there, it's the same for me. When you get to this place, you hold no, there's no envy, there's no anger, there's nothing like that. I just, everyone is where they are, and some people are not, not ready to to move on and stuff like that. And that's absolutely fine. But I believe you've got to protect your own energy. And that is the secret to everything, is protecting your own energy, is not reacting to things, not reacting to people. Whether it's like something that's really pissed you off, and just sit with it. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, then you'll come up with a response that is something that will be able to just kind of finish it, or you don't respond at all, because that's your right as well. It's just all about protecting your energy. And like I said, the people that I've got around me, so grateful for. They're all new people, new, positive people. And even the guys who are in the Sober Fit Academy as well, they're in there because they're wanting to improve their life and better themselves, get fitter, leave alcohol behind. And naturally, we become squad, and we're all working towards the same thing, and that's when I do like a Sunday evening prep call to get them ready for the week. Mm-hmm. And that is, that is just like switching on, like, come on, like tomorrow when you wake up, if you wake up, be grateful. When you wake up, first thing you should do is be grateful.
So important.
Yeah, move your body, hydrate, simple things, but
yeah, I practice that too. It's so important to practice appreciation for who you are, gratitude. I mean, like my gratitude, I talk about it all the time, but my gratitude journal is, it's filling up pretty quick. I wake up and that's how I start my day. I wake up, I make mental and actual physical notes in my gratitude journal that I have. It's a journal for everything, but it's mostly filled with just gratitude things. And it's interesting how often when you do that, it just creates this energy, or this like self-fulfilling prophecy of every day I'm going to write down, like this is the beginning of my day, I'm going to write down, like, I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that I have my wife. I'm grateful, blah, blah, blah. And you just go over that over and over again. And then you start noticing that you find you're grateful for more things. And then all of a sudden more, life comes with more blessings. And then you're grateful for those big things. And then the more grateful you are, the more you get back in return. So that's great. I'm happy that you're doing that, and you're on this path now.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I agree with you. It's like, it is the most important. I would say it's the most important thing is gratitude, because nothing good ever come from being negative. You showed that, like you say, that first bit of gratitude. My morning routine is non-negotiable. It's wake up, 5 a.m., gratitude, training. After that, if I put myself through, a good training session, show gratitude, like I'm going to win. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to fuel my body right. I'm going to make sure that I'm recovering right in the evening and set myself up for the next day. And it's all about preparation and being prepared. The saying.
Yeah, if you're failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Life's going to happen. You got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, you got to have the tools ready in your arsenal to be able to whip those tools out, and when those tough times come, because they don't go away. Then life goes on. But now we do it in a very clear-minded, healthy way instead of self-sabotaging and using substances to escape from our issues instead of confronting them head on.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Lee. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or say anything before we jump off?
I'm all about empowering people. Find me, connect with me on my Instagram, SoberFit Legacy.
It's Soba. It's SOBA, right? Yeah.
Yeah, SOBA. Yeah. And yeah, if you are struggling and you're feeling stuck, then I've got many tools and resources to get people unstuck. And for me, I don't come from this kind of like place of making people feel like shit so that they have to make a change because I'm saying you're this, you're that. I believe in empowering people, giving them the tools to see the evidence and then make their own mind up. And usually that happens when you take action. You see results. You want to continue with them results. I've got a free January challenge coming up as well. So anyone welcome for that. It's just going to be 7 days to get ready to start of the year. Mentally prepare yourself, physically prepare yourself. What better way to start the year than a nice mindful physical challenge.
Yeah, this is the time of year when people typically will at least explore the option of putting the bottle down or experimenting with sobriety, and it's hard. That's the new year comes along. Everyone's doing it at the same time, and there is power in group thought, and I hope that people out there during this time of year, because it can be tough. This is a tough time of year. I really do hope people do explore that and seek help and support, because can't do it alone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm always open as well to speak to people and support people. That's our obligation as human beings, to help other people. And you're right as well, saying it is going to be a difficult time for for a lot of people over Christmas. Stay around the people that care about you.
Yeah. Stay around the people that care about you. Yeah. And give yourself some self-love out there, because like you said, Lee, it's really hard this time of year. A lot of people struggle.
Yeah. Find purpose over pleasure. That's the piece, whether the purpose is finding a love for doing something, fitness, running, whatever, swimming, anything, move your body. Exercise is the best drug in the world. And I've done a lot of them, and I tell you, exercise is the best I've done. So,
yeah. Well, if you're going to get hooked on anything, exercise, I say, would be your best option, because not only has so many positive qualities that are intertwined with, becoming that healthy, happy person that everyone wants to be, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Lee, for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you and getting to know you a little bit better. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you go with this next chapter in your life. It's exciting.
Cheers. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and tune in for another episode very soon. Take care. Bye.